Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about my thoughts on the Pretty Little Liars Original Sin reboot. So, the teaser trailer dropped a few weeks ago, and there was really nothing to talk about that, other than it had a slasher type feel, but I wasn't really sure. Now that the official trailer has come out and the series will be coming out on HBO Max on July 28th, I can officially say yes, it's going that slasher horror movie route, which is very odd and bizarre for Pretty Little Liars. Because if you ever watched the original series, then you know it dealt with that of a stalker, a supposed murder mystery, at least from the book's perspective. But when it came to the show, it originally followed that same format until halfway into the series and they changed it up. It was no longer about a murder mystery, just like a missing girl type thing. And so, but it still had a stalker, or multiple stalkers, I should say, that turned out to be A. See, Pretty Little Liars, the rough draft is like this. A group of girls, they're hanging out, they're drinking, and then one of them goes missing at night. And then the girl goes missing for a couple of years. And so they assume that she's dead. All of a sudden, all this strange stuff starts happening to them. And then somebody keeps texting them with the letter A. As a signature and everything. A stands for Allie and everything. That's the friend that went missing. They assume it's her. Then it turns out all of their secrets that they've been hiding are coming out for the whole world to find out. And so they spend this whole series trying to figure out who A is, why they murdered supposedly Allie and everything, and why this person is stalking them. But it's basically just a stalker thing. And then every once in a while, somebody will end up dead. But it's not always who you think did it and stuff like that. And a lot of the bad stuff that happens is not, you always assume it's A, but it's really not. It's just the townspeople. So it was a drama, a mystery drama, a thriller, suspense. But it never really went that slasher movie route until all of a sudden, ratings started to decline a little bit. So then they started to up the ante and more people started dying, but it still never really went that slasher movie route. It had two failed spin-offs. One was a supernatural type thing, and the other one was supposed to supposedly be more related to it, called Pretty Little Liars, The Perfectionist. And that dealt with two of the main characters from the other show coming on to this show with characters very similar to that Pretty Little Liars. So it was basically Pretty Little Liars 2.0. And it had a really bad time explaining what happened to the events of the original series and this and that. It only lasted for a season. So after many years, they decided to reboot it with a new showrunner. And this is where I started to have worries and stuff. Now, the original showrunner, she was good. She was never great because towards the end, in the middle of the series, it started to flounder and stuff. But the new showrunner for this HBO Max series is Roberto Aguirre-Sacasa. I think that's how you say his name. This is the man responsible for Riverdale and the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. And right there has me worried because he's in charge of the Archie comics. And, he does a lot of the creativity for those. And he also created the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina comic book that he later adapted to his own show. And he changed so much in the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, it didn't even feel like the comic no more. And I have mixed feelings about the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. There are a few episodes I like, but for the most part, I don't like this series. And as for Riverdale, if you ever hear me talk about that, I think the first season's solid, but after that, it's complete and utter crap. And Riverdale is a bizarre show. And I see some of this bizarreness in this show, but not as much as Riverdale. The dialogue seems to be normal, but it still has a lot of his style in this series. Like the weird stalker, the weird costumes, the weird slasher elements. The main character who's a teenager is pregnant. Oh yeah, that's a huge role model right there. Let me tell you. And then this man loves exploiting teen bodies and sexualities in his shows. And this one, I can start to see a little bit of that take on fruition and stuff, because like in Riverdale, even though they're all adults, they play teenagers in high school, and he's always having them in some of the strangest situations: bondage, sex, taking off their shirts, all kind of like sexual type stuff. And I see a tiny bit in this trailer with the girl who is like, who's a ballerina. She's wearing a very, 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 very tight, what are them things called? Like the ballerina type outfits. That's kind of like spandex that sticks to their body. There's a huge butt shot. Well, she has a big butt, but like the camera is very focused on her butt. Like very, very centered on her butt and everything. And you can see like the underwear lines, the underseam lines, stuff like that. And so it's not like it's focused like there it is, like the camera is focusing directly on it. I mean, you see her body, but it's just, oh, maybe my eyes are focused on it. I don't know. But like it was a shot that is kind of like, whatever, but was it really necessary? And to have her be turned that certain way and pause for a long time in that certain position that has her like, well, it focuses on like on her butt and stuff. And that's like Roberto in like a nutshell when it comes to like, um, whatchamacallit show. Riverdale. Even in Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, it was like that. A bunch of teenagers having orgies, and Sabrina was a teenager, and we always saw her in her bra and underwear like a lot in the series. Every once in a while, actually. Not a lot. Once in a while. First episode, she was like taking a bath. I'm like, why are you doing that? You're a teenager. Why do I have to see you in your underwear? You're a teenager, even though she was an adult playing. There's been other scenes where teens have been in their underwear. There have been like, like I said, teen orgies and everything on the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. So it's kind of like, what is this dude's problem with that? But let's get into the actual trailer. So I'm getting slasher movie vibes from this. It starts off with the narration that, in every town, there's that one like house that's across from like a cemetery, and something bad happens. And I'm thinking to myself, that doesn't happen in real life. There are tons of houses across the street from a cemetery. Nothing bad happens to them and everything. I know there's like one a couple of blocks away from me, and nothing's ever bad happened in that part of town. But they're trying to set up this kind of like vibe of horror movie-ish type stuff, And so like, and of course, the bad thing that happens is that main girl who ends up pregnant, that something happens in her house. Somebody ends up either murdered or something, but they leave the A symbol posted on her like bathroom walls, but in blood. So it's letting you know right here and now this person has some type of vendetta. What that is, we don't know. And so apparently she must have left her house with her and her mom, and they moved away and came back. And so now she's back with her old friends and stuff. And she ends up pregnant. And she's a teen pregnant girl. Like I said before, that is not no good role model. So already he's starting off on a bad like spot on this show. Like, why is the main character pregnant and stuff? That's just you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm tired of seeing that in like teen shows. I'm tired of seeing teen sex. I'm tired of seeing pregnant teens and all this other stuff. Now, I will praise this show for its diversity, something he has a huge problem with when it comes to his other shows, and he's been called out on it by those stars that star on his show. Now, the atmosphere, the look is very much Roberto's style. It has that dim lighting, some colors pop in the background, but they're like muted. It has that like really eerie, dreary look that Riverdale and Chilling Adventures had. Like, he needs to change up his style, because the original Pretty Little Liars didn't have that. The original Pretty Little Liars had you in a realistic setting, that makes you think, okay, something bad can happen to just any normal person. With this, you know automatically something bad is gonna happen to somebody. And it has that very teen trope vibe. There's like the main girl, she's kind of like, not so much an outsider, but she's determined, headstrong, and she's getting bullied by somebody else. And she's letting that bully know that she's not gonna back down and stuff. And when you look at all the other background players, it has that teen movie vibe to it, which, the original Pretty Little Liars never really had. The original Pretty Little Liars, it had teenagers in it, but mostly it had a bunch of adults and everything. So a lot of these teenagers, they were interacting with each other, like the teens, but they always got mixed in with like the adults. They gave it that more mature vibe and stuff. This so far is looking like, like I said, like a slasher horror movie teen type thing that will either be directed, go out directly to DVD, or like, straight to streaming. Like, it has that vibe, like one of those movies, teen movies, that go straight to Netflix and stuff. It has that look and feel to it. And so just like with every teen thing that comes out now for prom, there's that Carrie reference. They gotta stop doing this thing, man. It's been done to death. And so the pregnant girl's about to get splashed with pig's blood or whatever, and by, I guess, like the bully. And so next thing you know, here comes our slasher, and they kill that person. And then all the girls, they check their phones, and it's 5 of them. And it says 1 down, 5 to go. So the girl who was the bully, either she was one of the original friends, or she was just somebody who's part of this bigger scheme type thing of why this slasher is going after these girls. All throughout the trailer, you just get this slasher movie vibe. The slasher is always appearing in places, kind of like a Scream thing. Like, there's an assembly in like the gym talking about the girl who died, and then you see somebody in the bleachers slowly reaching out their hand, has a weird wig thing on. Now, the hair of the wig is very similar to what we see the slasher person wearing. Now, question is this the real slasher, or is it just somebody pulling a prank? Don't know. That happens a lot in Pretty Little Liars. Like, you assume A is doing everything, but it's really just the other characters in the show, like a red herring type thing. Also, if this is really the killer, how in the world did they get in the gym full of students and able to hide in bleachers and stuff, So, not quite sure when exactly the setting of this show is, but we know that the main girl, her mom was in high school back in 1999. So, and then they put emphasis on one of the nines. I don't know why it's in red. Probably could just be like just any old random reason, or maybe there's something have to do with 9 something in the show, but I don't know what. And apparently her mom got like some kind of invitation back when she was in high school and stuff. Now, it seems that when the mom went to the high school like party thing, whatever the reason for this killer is, it has something to do with that party, because there's a girl named Angela Waters, and she supposedly killed herself at the party and everything. And so they think somehow that's connected. It probably is connected to the overall scheme of like the plot, but what exactly it has to do and why. See, now I'm getting Scream Queens type vibe and everything, because that's something that happened there where, somebody died many years ago, then many years later, the kids got revenge and stuff like that. So now I'm getting those kind of vibes. So the main girl feels like it's her job to find out how all this stuff is connected for some bizarre reason. Because for some reason, A is targeting them. I guess A is probably targeting the kids of like, the parents and stuff like that. 'Cause one of the kids said they didn't know that, or that girl died or whatever at the mom's like, party, at the school party and stuff like that. Now, this show also is dealing with other things that's been going on in a lot of teen modern day stuff, like assault. Like, this one girl accused this one guy talking about it was assault, and he's all like, "You wish." And so they're letting you know that, they're going to have those like awareness type episodes, which is great and everything. It's just they're doing it in the modern kind of way where they kind of like beat you over the head with it and everything. And the thing about Pretty Little Liars with the original one is that there were assaults in that. There was Emily's boyfriend who tried to assault her, and that happened like in the first episode, but they didn't beat you over the head with it. Like, you got the message and everything. And then there was Ian, who was always messing around with teens and stuff. And then there's Mr. Fitz, who kept like dating like younger girls and stuff. And so there were a presence of like assault here and there, but they didn't really like beat you over the head with it and let you know straightforward. Now, because all those times it was like subtle and the message got crossed, a lot of people don't take those things serious. So I understand why they want to like beat you over the head with it and let you know straight up, hey, look, that ain't cool and stuff, because it's a teaching lesson. But this does feel like a more mature version of Riverdale and stuff. Like, it's not, so far I'm not getting none of that silly dialogue. Even with Chilling and Sabrina, it had like weird dialogue and weird stuff here and there. It looks interesting. Now, the thing about a reboot is kind of like, see, that's the problem with popular shows. Do you make it similar to the original so people can have something to grab onto, or do you go a completely different route? Here it seems like he's going a completely different route, but throwing in splashes of like the original. That could work. That could alienate some people. Like, I don't know exactly how I feel about that, because it has a very slasher horror movie vibe. Why not just call it something else? You know what I'm saying? Why make it Pretty Little Liars and stuff? Pretty Little Liars is a very complicated, very psychological type show, with tons of characters with all their problems and all their secrets. And I don't know, because like, there's been shows that try to duplicate the Pretty Little Liars formula in a slasher horror movie type show feel, and those never worked out. So only time will tell. Now, this comes out on the 28th of this month. Hopefully HBO Max will put the first episode on YouTube. Sometimes they do that. I'm hoping, because I'm not getting HBO Max until it gets closer to like the finale of like this season, because it's gonna drop every week, and so there's no point in paying $10 for like 2 months and stuff, and or a little bit longer than that. And Harley Quinn drops the same day as Pretty Little Liars Original Sin, and so I don't want to like pay for it for 1 month and have to hurry and get rid of it, or pay for 2 months and stuff like that, because I got other stuff to watch. But yeah, those are just like my thoughts on like this. I don't know how I feel. I'm gonna watch it because I'm curious, but at the same time, it's just weird because it's like I'm seeing too much horror movie, slasher movie stuff in this. And so, I mean, there's even slasher movie, horror movie references, but the whole Carrie thing, a person whose body shape is very similar to Jason Voorhees and everything. It has that Pretty Little Liars element to it. It has kind of like a Scream element to it. So it's kind of like they're throwing in all these different things, but not trying to be original. Yet this is supposed to be like the original Sin. And it's supposed to take place within like, the Pretty Little Liars universe. So our Pretty Little Liars from the old show still exist in this show. And so it's kind of like, why? Why A? That's the thing. A stands for, of course, Angela. But, what are the odds that two different towns with two different stalker killer type people are gonna use the initial A to sign their stuff? You know what I'm saying? That's just kind of weird. And that's very unoriginal. And so, like, did Mona hear about this? Because Mona's from the original Pretty Little Liars, the first A. So it's kind of like, did she hear about this that happened in 1999 and heard about the whole Angela thing and heard about the A, like, initial? Because this seems to take place in the present day because of the cell phones and stuff. And so it's kind of like, did she hear about that and get the idea from that? Because it can't be, because when Pretty Little Liars started, of course, it started many years ago and they had different cell phones at that time. So maybe she heard the story of Angela Waters, or What, I don't know, but why would they both use the same A initial? See, that's just kind of weird, you know what I'm saying? They should have used a different initial for the original sin thing. And or just a kind of like marker symbol type thing or something. But who knows? Maybe this will be great. Maybe Roberto can redeem himself because God, Riverdale was so weird. And Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, I just have so many mixed feelings about that. Like I don't know how I feel about that. It just because of the like the color palette and the muteness and the staleness to it. It just always had like a stale feel to it, and stuff would happen. But I don't know. It was just an odd show. I couldn't really like fully invest into it and stuff. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.